Hey everybody, my name's Ed. Okay, so today we're going to do another trade review, and this time it is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. This is Volume 1 Legacy, written by Abnett and Danny, and the art is by Paul Pelletier. Okay, so let's get into it. We'll give you a little background first. Okay, so the writing is by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, with pencils by Paul Pellier and inks by Rick Magyar. Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning have been writing partners for years. The two have collaborated since about the mid 90s, and they stopped working together in 2014. They've collaborated on such titles such as Legion, Resurrection Man, Force Works, Nova, and The Punisher. Of course, they've done much work before, during, and after their partnership. Paul Pellier has been drawing comics since the 80s, including but not limited to Dark Stars, Green Lantern, Man of Steel, and The Outsiders for DC, and She-Hulk, Fantastic Four, and Exiles for Marvel. So, Annihilation was a crossover event that revived and revamped several of Marvel's old sci-fi characters. Several forgotten and prominent cosmic heroes must face Thanos and Annihilus. Abnett and Danny wrote the Nova series that spun out of that event, and then they oversaw the sequel, Annihilation Conquest. The Phalanx attack the Kree Empire, and again, several cosmic heroes must join forces in order to defeat them. And out of the ashes of that conflict, the new Guardians of the Galaxy assemble to face a torn universe. So, previous to the modern series, the original Guardians appeared in 1968 in an anthology comic called Marvel Superheroes. They were created by Arnold Drake with art by Gene Colan. The comic was set in the future, and the members were the last survivors of the colonized worlds of our solar system, which had been conquered by lizard-like aliens called the Badoon. They next appeared in the 70s Defender series before starting their own short-lived adventures in Marvel Feature, mostly written by Steve Gerber. The title was restarted in the 90s, written by former Underground cartoonist Jim Valentino, and this run was actually quite successful for a while. Oh, and I should mention so that this trade collection Legacy came out around 2008, 2009, and it does collect issues 1 through 6 of the Guardians of the Galaxy ongoing. So, assembled in the wake of the Annihilation and Phalanx events, the team comes together to fix fissures in space and other threats to the universe. The team lives on Nowhere, which is a space station built from the helmet of a dead space giant, where all kinds of different aliens, cultures meet and interact. The head of security on Nowhere is Cosmo, a dog who was part of the Soviet space program in the 50s, who somehow gained human level intelligence and telepathic powers. And as the Guardians go about their missions, they are followed by an oppressive group called the Universal Church of Truth, and they have to deal with a time-displaced hero who has ties to the original Guardians. As they are dealing with this mystery, they are interrupted by the arrival of Skrulls, who are shape-shifting aliens, usually bent on conquering the Earth, and sometimes they fight with the Kree. And this was kind of tied to the Secret Invasion event that was happening across the Marvel comic superhero line at the time. Okay, so the lineup or team roster here is you got Gamora, who is created by Jim Starr in the 70s, Rocket Raccoon, Bill Mantlo in the 70s and 80s, Star-Lord, created by Steve Englehart in the 70s, Warlock, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in the 60s as a character named Him, and then he was revamped as Adam Warlock by Roy Thomas in the 70s. Drax the Destroyer, I'm pretty sure Englehart in the 70s. Final Veil by Peter David in the 2000s as Captain Marvel, revamped during the Annihilation event as Quasar. And then you also have Mantis, created by Steve Englehart in the 70s. So Star-Lord, or Peter Quill, is kind of like the world-weary veteran. Drax and Gamora like cynical warriors looking for a purpose. Rocket is kind of the wise ass tactician. Phyla and Mantis are the more calm, balanced members of the group. And Warlock is like this dark soul who's driven to right wrongs before they happen. Abnett and Lanning do a good job of making their personalities believable and distinct, and giving them plausible motivations and distinct speech patterns. And they're able to play the ensemble cast well against each other and their personal agendas in a way that moves the story forward. So what is interesting is how Dabney and Abbott have taken the characters and themes of these older cosmic sci-fi concepts and either adjusted them or moved them forward for their own story. Steve Englehart has stated in older interviews that with Mantis and Star-Lord, he wanted to do a rising, advancing of the spirit type storyline with those characters, which is something he started to do when he was on Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. And although, having said that, what we think of as classic Star-Lord was really started with Chris Claremont's fully formed heroic version. Jim Starlin's Warlock stories heavily leaned on psychology and satirized organized religion. Dabney and Abbott takes those elements and weaves them together along with various other cosmic Marvel concepts to tell a grand story about a band of misfits facing off against great threats and dealing with interpersonal drama as well as political bureaucracy. And the politics are less symbolic and more part of the main text. The characters have to deal with conflicts between cultures, official protocol, red tape, as well as the physical threats and conflicts between cultures. Like I said, war, trades, etc. So the visuals are well done, but mostly standard superhero art by Paul Perrier with inks by Rick Magyar. Paul has dynamic storytelling style and is good with movement and poses, while his panel layouts are functional and mostly clear. He could have done a better job of setting up establishing shots. Paul has a good grasp of anatomy and decent sense of drama, as well as being able to make fight scenes work, mostly. The inks are solid with heavy blacks and technical rendering, which brings a certain weight to the visuals. The coloring is Nathan Fairbanks and Google Effects. It's mostly fine, but in some spots, an attempt to do shading makes the colors come across as a little muddy. Sometimes when you have like this really heavy inking and rendering in a comic, flat, simple colors just work a little bit better than the overly sophisticated approach. Okay, so just to show you a little bit of the art. Okay, pow, pow. Okay, as you can see, mostly decent layouts. Storytelling's okay. Pretty good at action scenes. Do the dramatic close up. There's maybe one or two spots where the storytelling isn't as clear as it could be, but it's not a major problem. Okay, so that was just to give you a little taste. Okay, so overall, the comic book is a lot of fun. There's just the right balance of action versus humor. Abnett and Lanning were able to balance the different personalities of the ensemble cast without slighting them. Everybody gets a moment or a significant amount of attention. Well paced action. The ideas seem grand and the stakes are high. At some points, the comic might seem a little bit cluttered, but it's a really solid read nonetheless. So then that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And you have a great day. Stop.